Hey there, you smart folks tuning in. You're here because you want to get the good stuff fast, those aha moments that stick, without feeling like you're wading through a textbook.
Exactly.
Today, we're diving deep into something that can feel deceptively simple, but holds incredible power, establishing and, sticking with a meditation practice.
Yeah, and for this exploration, we've gathered insights from, well, a really diverse range of sources. We're talking popular apps like Headspace and Calm, their blogs too,
Right.
but also perspectives from Virtua Gym, the wisdom of Tiny Buddha, practical advice from WebMD, Mayo Clinic.
Lots of medical input then.
Definitely.
Mm.
And the NHS's Every Mind Matters, Psych Central, Mindful Magazine, the sort of down-to-earth approach of Zen habits.
Zen Habits is great for that.
It is. Even viewpoints from the Times of India, Falcon Healing Arts, City Yoga, discussions on Reddit's Our Meditation, and findings from Harvard Health.
Yeah.
So a real mix.
So, yeah, we've basically done the heavy lifting for you. Our mission here is to distill all that down to the absolute essentials, the knowledge, and importantly, the actionable steps. Steps that will genuinely help you either begin meditating consistently or maybe really deepen an existing practice if you've already started.
We're aiming to cut through the noise, yeah. Make this something truly beneficial and sustainable for you.
Okay.
And what emerged really clearly from all this material are sort of two key areas we want to focus on.
What are they?
Well, first, the fundamental principles. What makes a meditation practice actually effective?
Right, the foundations.
Exactly. And second, the practical, real-world strategies you can use to weave meditation into your daily life, making it a habit that actually lasts.
Okay, let's jump right into those fundamental principles then. And the one that just screams out from pretty much, well, every corner of our research is the sheer importance of consistency.
Oh, absolutely. It's number one.
It's not about the grand gestures, is it? Like one massive meditation session.
Not at all. It's much more like, say, tending a garden. Little and often gives you way better results than, sporadic bursts of intense effort.
That's a good analogy.
Headspace actually likened it to physical exercise. You wouldn't expect huge gains from just one workout, right?
No, definitely not.
Well, it's the same with meditation. Consistent, regular engagement is really key to unlocking the benefits.
Right, and it's fascinating how many sources pointed out that even super short daily sessions, like we're talking just a minute or two sometimes,
Even 1 minute.
are way more impactful than those infrequent longer sits that, let's be honest, are so easy to let slide.
Totally. Think of it as gradually training your mind. Regularity helps build what some sources cleverly called your meditation muscle.
I like that, meditation muscle.
Yeah, each short session is like a little rep, strengthening your ability to focus and be present over time.
Okay, so principle number 2 is, well, it's at the very heart of it all. Understanding mindfulness itself. And the consistent message seems to be this awareness of the present moment, but crucially, without getting tangled up in judging it.
Exactly. It's the ability to intentionally bring your attention to what's happening right now.
Oh, wait, now.
Whether it's your breath, maybe sounds around you, sensations in your body, and to just observe it all without labeling it good or bad, right or wrong.
You're essentially anchoring your awareness somewhere.
Spot on. An anchor. That's a great way to put it.
And I think a major hurdle for many people, myself included sometimes, is this idea that you need to completely empty your mind. Blank slate.
Oh, yeah, the blank slate myth.
But that's a real misconception, isn't it? It's more about how you relate to your thoughts.
Precisely. As both Headspace and Mindful emphasize, the goal isn't actually to stop thinking there. I mean, good luck with that. That's generally not how minds operate.
Right, impossible.
Instead, the practice is to become aware of your thoughts as they arise, to notice them without getting carried away by their stories or the emotions attached.
Kind of like watching clouds drift by.
That's a classic analogy, yeah. Imagine them as clouds drifting across the sky. You see them, acknowledge them, but you don't have to grab onto them and fly away with them.
Okay. So inevitably, the mind is going to wander because, well, that's what minds do.
It's their job description.
So what's the key then when you notice, oops, I'm thinking about my shopping list again?
First off, realizing that is not a failure. It's actually completely normal. And honestly, it's a sign that you're aware. You noticed.
Ah, okay. That's a good reframe.
The crucial step then is to gently, and I really emphasize gently, redirect your focus back to your chosen anchor.
Gently.
Multiple sources highlighted this simple act. Notice the drift, then kindly, compassionately guide your attention back. Maybe it's to the breath, maybe a sound. It's the returning that's the core of the practice, not staying perfectly focused forever.
And it struck me how important self-compassion is here. WebMD and Headspace specifically mentioned that it's so easy to get frustrated, right? When your mind feels like it's just buzzing all over the place.
Absolutely. Avoid getting angry at yourself or feeling like, oh, I failed this session. That's just adding more mental noise.
Right, another layer of thought.
Exactly. The practice is about recognizing the wandering without judgment and then gently, kindly bringing yourself back. Kindness to yourself is a non-negotiable ingredient here.
Okay. Moving on to principle number 4. And this is something I think resonates with anyone who's ever tried to build any new habit, really. Patience and perseverance.
Uh-huh. Big ones.
It's definitely not an instant fix, is it? You don't meditate once and become instantly zen.
Definitely not. Wouldn't that be nice? But no. Meditation is a skill that unfolds over time, much like learning, say, a musical instrument or a new language.
These practice.
It does. Headspace rightly described it as a long-term endeavor. The benefits often emerge subtly, gradually, with that consistent practice we talked about. Don't expect dramatic overnight transformations.
I saw a few sources mention the 3 Ps, patience, practice, and perseverance.
Catchy.
It really sticks in your mind. It's a good reminder that this is a process, a cultivation, rather than something you just master in a few sessions.
Exactly. You're essentially developing a whole new way of relating to your own mind, and that just takes consistent effort and, yeah, a healthy dose of patience with yourself.
Okay, next up is the importance of a non-judgmental attitude, which feels really, really intertwined with dealing with that wandering mind we just discussed.
It absolutely is. They go hand in hand. Headspace specifically advised against labeling your meditation sessions as good or bad.
Because some days just feel different, right?
Totally. Some days your mind will feel calmer. Other days it might feel like a whirlwind. Both are simply part of the human experience. They're just data points. Each session contributes to the overall practice, regardless of how it felt.
And I liked how some sources suggested approaching your practice with a sense of curiosity and maybe even playfulness.
Yeah, I love that.
That takes so much of the pressure off, doesn't it? It shifts it from being this serious task to something more, I don't know, exploratory.
Precisely. It's about observing your experience with an open and accepting mindset, without needing it to be any particular way. Just seeing what's there.
Okay, and the final fundamental principle we wanted to touch on is understanding your why.
Ah, yes. Your motivation.
Why are you even embarking on this meditation journey in the first place? What's the driver?
Several sources really emphasize this. Having clarity around your motivations, whether it's, say, to manage stress better, improve your focus at work, enhance your overall well-being, maybe sleep better, or something else entirely.
It could be anything, really.
That clarity can significantly fuel your commitment. It makes it easier to stay with the practice, especially on those days when it feels challenging or you're tempted to skip.
That makes total sense. If you have a clear reason, a goal, you're much more likely to prioritize showing up for your practice, even when it's tough.
Exactly. It anchors the habit.
All right, so those are the foundational principles, really important stuff. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Practical strategies for actually making meditation a consistent part of your daily life. Okay, the how-to.
Yeah. And the first piece of advice, which echoes that principle we mentioned earlier, is, well, start incredibly small.
Yes, don't underestimate the power of small. Zen Habits and the Times of India both strongly recommend beginning with very brief sessions, even just 1 to 5 minutes. Seriously, 1 minute. The goal is to make it feel so achievable, so non-threatening, that it's almost effortless to incorporate into your day.
And the brilliance of starting that small is it just completely lowers the barrier to entry, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like this huge, daunting time commitment.
Exactly. You can literally say to yourself, okay, I definitely have 1 minute I can dedicate to just breathing.
Anyone can find 1 minute.
Pretty much. And then as you become more comfortable, maybe start to feel some subtle benefits. Multiple sources suggest gradually increasing the duration, maybe go up to 3 minutes, then 5, then 10. It's about building momentum and confidence in a sustainable way, not jumping in too deep too fast. Okay, strategy number 2. Set a regular schedule and time. This feels like a non-negotiable for truly building a habit, like brushing your teeth.
Absolutely crucial. Headspace and Mindful both highlighted the value of trying to meditate around the same time each day. This helps anchor the practice within your existing routine.
Makes it automatic.
It helps make it automatic. Yeah, your brain starts to expect it.
And they suggested considering times like maybe right after you wake up, before the day gets hectic and pulls you in a million directions.
That's a popular one. Or perhaps in the evening as a way to kind of wind down, transition out of work mode before sleep.
Whatever works for your schedule, I guess.
Exactly. The key is the intention. Treat it like any other important appointment you wouldn't just skip. Put it in your calendar if you have to. That intentionality sends a signal to your brain. This is a priority.
Okay, third practical strategy. Create a dedicated space for your practice. Now, this doesn't need to be some elaborate Instagram-worthy meditation room, does it?
Oh, definitely not. Keep it simple. Mindful suggested simply designating a quiet and comfortable spot where you're less likely to be disturbed. Could be a corner of your bedroom, a specific chair.
Just somewhere consistent?
Yeah, somewhere consistent. And the key is maybe setting it up in a small way that subtly reminds you of your intention. Maybe a cushion you only use for meditation, or a small plant. Something that fosters a sense of peace and becomes a visual and physical cue for your practice. This is my spot.
I really like this next one. Integrate meditation with existing habits, often called habit stacking. This sounds like a really effective, almost sneaky way to make it stick.
It truly can be a game changer. It's brilliant psychology. Headspace specifically recommended linking your meditation practice to something you already do without fail every single day.
Like what?
Like brushing your teeth in the morning, or maybe making your first cup of coffee or tea. Something that's already hardwired.
So it provides a built-in trigger.
Right, exactly. You don't have to rely purely on willpower or remembering when to meditate. The existing habit becomes the cue.
Cuts down on that decision fatigue.
Totally. As some sources illustrated, you could frame it as, okay, I'll brush my teeth and then I'll sit for my 5 minutes. Or after I pour my coffee, I'll meditate before I take that first delicious sip.
Delaying gratification for mindfulness.
Or even using the few moments you're just standing there waiting for the coffee to brew or the kettle to boil. Those can become mini mindfulness exercises right there. Grab those little moments.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Okay, strategy number 5. Minimizing those inevitable distractions, which, let's face it, is easier said than done in our noisy, busy lives.
It is a real challenge, but it's a worthwhile effort, especially when you're starting out. Multiple sources obviously advise turning off notifications on your phone. That's a big one.
The dings and buzzes.
Yeah, put it on silent or even in another room. And find a relatively quiet place where you're less likely to be interrupted by people, pets, noise outside. Creating that focused environment really supports your ability to settle into the practice, particularly at the beginning.
Number 6, be flexible. Now, this almost feels like it contradicts the regular schedule idea we just talked about,
Yeah.
but it's just as vital, isn't it? Life happens.
Absolutely essential. It's about realistic consistency, not rigid perfection. Headspace suggested that if your usual routine gets completely thrown off, maybe you oversleep or have an unexpected appointment.
Life happens.
Exactly. Adjust the time or even the location of your meditation if you need to, but the key is to really try to avoid skipping it altogether. Adaptability is crucial for long-term habits.
And even if you can't manage your full schedule 10 minutes or whatever it is,
Right.
several sources mention that even just taking a few minutes for some mindful breathing wherever you are, maybe even on the bus or waiting in line, can be incredibly beneficial.
Yes, it maintains that connection to your practice, keeps the thread of the habit alive, even if it's just for 60 seconds. Something is always better than nothing in this context.
Okay. Strategy number 7. Consciously remind yourself of the benefits you're seeking or noticing. It's easy to lose sight of the why when something starts to feel like just another task on the to-do list.
That's very true. Motivation can wane. Headspace suggested taking just a moment after each meditation session to reflect. Simply notice how you feel.
Even if the changes are subtle.
Especially if they're subtle. Maybe you feel slightly calmer, maybe a little more focused, maybe just a tiny bit less reactive. Noticing those positive shifts, however small, helps reinforce the value of the practice in your own experience.
And we saw such a consistent list of potential benefits across pretty much all the sources, didn't we?
We really did. Reduced stress was huge, improved focus, a greater sense of general well-being, often better sleep. Those are powerful motivators.
Yeah, the Times of India and the NHS, every mind matters, really highlighted those tangible outcomes.
Absolutely. And keeping those potential positive outcomes in mind, the reason you started, can provide that extra nudge you need to stick with it, especially when you hit a bump in the road.
Number 8, track your progress. This can be really satisfying, right? Seeing the evidence of your effort.
It can be surprisingly powerful, yeah. Multiple sources recommended using meditation apps. Many have built-in trackers or just a simple journal, or even just putting a check mark on a calendar.
Old school works too.
Totally. Seeing that chain of check marks grow, visualizing your consistency can be really motivating and help solidify the habit. It makes it tangible.
Strategy 9,
Yeah.
make your practice enjoyable. And definitely feel free to experiment because let's face it, if it feels like a constant struggle or a chore, it's going to be really hard to maintain long term.
Precisely. This is key. Numerous sources encouraged exploring different meditation techniques. While mindfulness of breath is a fantastic, accessible starting point,
A classic.
the classic, yeah, but there's also body scan meditations, which can be great for reconnecting with physical sensations. There's mantra meditation using a repeated word or phrase. Walking meditation, you don't always have to be sitting still.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Guided meditations, visualization exercises, even just counting your breaths. There's a wide range to explore.
And guided ones can be really helpful for beginners, right? Take some of the pressure off figuring it all out yourself.
Definitely. The Times of India pointed that out specifically. Guided meditations provide structure and can make it feel more accessible when you're starting.
And ultimately, finding a style or a technique that resonates with you personally is key, isn't it? Something that feels less like a mandatory task and more like a welcome pause in your day.
Exactly. It's about discovering your own personal flavor, your own approach to the practice. Make it yours.
Number 10, which we've touched on in the principles, but is definitely worth repeating as a practical strategy,
Yeah.
be patient and persistent.
Yes. The twin pillars again.
It really is a gradual process.
Absolutely. Don't get discouraged by those initial challenges or those days when your mind feels particularly busy or uncooperative. Just gently redirect your focus each time it wanders. Remember that very act of noticing and returning is the practice. That's the mental push-up.
And a closely related point, number 11, be less judgmental of yourself in your practice. We can be our own harshest critics, can't we? Especially when we're trying something new and maybe feel like we're not doing it right.
Oh, definitely. That inner critic loves new targets. Headspace specifically advised against self-criticism about how well you think you're meditating. There's no perfect meditation. Every moment you dedicate to sitting and being aware has value. Full stop.
Strategy 12, celebrate your progress, no matter how small it feels. A little positive reinforcement can go a surprisingly long way.
It really can. The Calm blog suggested acknowledging and maybe even actively rewarding yourself for reaching milestones.
Like what sort of milestones?
Could be meditating for 7 days straight, or maybe consistently practicing for 5 minutes each day for a month. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Maybe just acknowledging it consciously. Hey, I did that, or treating yourself to something small you enjoy. Just a little pat on the back for your commitment.
Nice. Okay, number 13, consider meditating with others. There's often a helpful sense of community and, let's face it, accountability in shared experiences.
Absolutely. Shared intention can be powerful. Headspace mentioned the idea of buddying up with someone else, a friend, a partner, a colleague who is also interested in meditating.
For mutual support.
Exactly. For mutual support, encouragement, maybe checking in with each other. Knowing someone else is also on the journey, maybe facing similar challenges, can provide extra motivation and make it feel less isolating.
Yeah, that makes sense. And number 14, a really important one, manage your expectations. We're not aiming for some mythical state of instant, permanent enlightenment here, right?
Precisely. Keep it grounded. Consistent daily meditation is about cultivating awareness, presence, maybe some calm over time. As Headspace emphasized, it's a gradual unfolding, a skill you develop, not a magic pill.
Okay. Strategy 15, proactively address potential obstacles. Think ahead about what might typically get in your way and maybe brainstorm how you might navigate those challenges.
Right. Be prepared. Headspace suggested maybe noting down the reasons why you might skip a meditation session if that happens. Look for patterns.
Right.
Like if you consistently find yourself too tired in the evenings, perhaps experimenting with shifting your practice to the morning would be a more effective strategy for you. It's about understanding your own tendencies.
And keeping it simple, strategy 16 seems like really sound advice to avoid feeling overwhelmed. especially when you're just starting out with all these techniques and ideas.
Absolutely critical. Multiple sources advised against getting bogged down in complex techniques or trying to do too much too soon. Focus on the fundamental basics, like just paying attention to your breath coming in and going out. Keep it simple.
Strategy 17, create reminders. Seems obvious, but in our tech-saturated world, sometimes we need that little digital nudge.
It can make a difference, whether it's setting a daily alarm on your phone specifically for meditation time, or putting a recurring event in your calendar, or even just a sticky note on your bathroom mirror or computer.
Whatever works.
Exactly. Those little nudges can make a significant difference in remembering to actually prioritize your practice amidst everything else demanding your attention.
And finally, number 18, this feels like a crucial point of balance.
hmm
Don't force it too hard. There's a delicate line between commitment and, well, beating yourself up.
Precisely. Self-compassion again.
Yeah.
Some sources noted that if you're feeling completely exhausted, physically unwell, or maybe really emotionally overwhelmed,
Yeah.
forcing yourself into a formal meditation session might actually be counterproductive. It might just increase frustration. The aim is for balance and self-compassion in your approach. Maybe on those days, a few mindful breaths are enough, or maybe you just need rest. Listen to your body and mind.
That's really wise advice. Okay, so we've covered the principles and a ton of practical strategies. We also wanted to briefly highlight some common mistakes that beginners often make.
Good idea. The pitfalls.
And maybe address a few key misconceptions, because knowing what not to do can be just as valuable as knowing what to do, right?
Absolutely. Forewarned is forearmed, you could say. Some common pitfalls definitely include trying too hard to stop your thoughts.
We talked about that. The blank mind trap.
Exactly, which, as we've discussed, often just creates more mental activity and frustration. Another big one is judging your meditation sessions. That was a bad one. That was a good one.
Right. Letting go of that.
Having unrealistic expectations about how quickly you'll see massive results. Not giving a particular technique enough time to actually see if it resonates before jumping to the next shiny thing.
Giving up too soon.
Giving up at the first sign of difficulty or perceived lack of progress, yeah. And maybe believing you need perfect, completely silent, ideal conditions to meditate effectively, that can really limit when and where you practice.
Okay. And in terms of common misconceptions, things people often get wrong about meditation itself.
Yeah, there are a few big ones. One is definitely that idea we keep coming back to, that meditation is all about achieving a completely clear or empty mind.
It's about observing thoughts, not eliminating them.
Exactly. Another is expecting to feel instantly calm every single time you meditate. It's a gradual process. There will be ups and downs, calm days, and busy mind days.
Okay.
Thinking there's a single right or wrong way to meditate can be really limiting too. It's actually a very personal practice. What works for one person might not for another.
Find your own way.
Find your own way. Believing you need those perfect, distraction-free conditions can become a huge barrier. Mindfulness can actually be cultivated in all sorts of environments, even noisy ones. Seeing meditation as a quick fix rather than a long-term skill development can lead to disappointment.
That's you up to fail.
It can. And finally, thinking that difficulty focusing means you're inherently bad at meditating. Mind wandering is normal. It's universal. It's part of the process for everyone.
Wow. Okay, so understanding those common misunderstandings can really help beginners or even experienced folks approach meditation with more realistic expectations and, crucially, a greater sense of self-compassion.
Exactly. It takes some of the pressure off.
So, bringing it all together then, establishing a consistent meditation practice really is a journey, isn't it? It's not a destination you just arrive at.
Beautifully put. It absolutely requires a genuine commitment. It definitely calls for patience, lots of it. And it absolutely benefits from putting these practical, really down-to-earth strategies into action.
Yeah, the practical stuff makes it doable.
Absolutely. And I think the real key, the takeaway, is probably start small, extend a lot of kindness and understanding towards yourself throughout the process.
Be kind to yourself.
And remember that it's the consistent engagement, just showing up rather than striving for some perfect, elusive state that ultimately brings the lasting benefits. It's the process.
So as you move through your day after listening to this, maybe just take a moment to consider, how could even just one or two of these practical strategies, maybe habit stacking, or starting with just 2 minutes, be realistically incorporated into your daily routine? How might that small shift begin to influence your experience of the present moment? Maybe contribute to a greater sense of calm or focus, or just awareness. What small manageable step will you choose to take today toward building or nurturing your meditation practice?
A great question to ponder.
We definitely encourage you to explore the resources we've drawn upon if you want to go deeper, or maybe delve into any related areas that have sparked your curiosity during our chat.
Lots more to learn out there.
Always. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.